how to respond and communicate with editors and peer reviewers. So maybe this is something that you've not been taught about. Maybe this is something that you've not thought about before in your research career. Well, hopefully this evening we'll be able to fill you in on some of those bits and pieces of techniques and tricks and communication skills that we hope will help you once you write your papers and you submit your papers to those international journals, those SCI listed Scopus Q1, Q2 top level international journals, how you can manage your submissions to make sure that they have the best chance of getting published. And a lot of this is about communication, how you deal with your peer review comments, how you talk to editors, how you manage the submission process, and how you back and forth communicate as your paper is in the submission process. My name is Gareth Dyke. Let me just move to the second slide. I worked for many years in Ireland. I know it explains my slightly odd way of speaking in English. I worked in the United Kingdom. I worked in the US. I worked in Hungary. I now work with Research Square Company. You can check us out online. You can find me easily on LinkedIn. Research Square Company is the world's largest preprint server. We have lots of colleagues from around the world putting their research up onto our preprint server, sharing it with other people before the paper goes into the formal peer review process. We have lots of articles in the system. We work closely with Springer Nature. We provide editing and professional services to Springer Nature journals. And in addition to my work with Research Square Company, my work with the Mars Training Network, I'm also an editor working with a journal that's published by Taylor and Francis. And this is my sideline work. I've been doing this for more than 20 years, and I get lots of communications from authors. I get lots of submissions. I get lots of emails from authors all of the time about their papers. And so one of the things that we're going to emphasize in our presentation this evening is how you, as an author, making submissions to international journals can maximize your success with the way that you communicate to editors and the way that you talk and deal with comments that come back after your papers go into the submission system. So you're probably thinking, why should I listen to this? What are we going to be talking about this evening? We're going to talk about the framework, the stages of the publishing cycle. And we'll come on to that in a moment, but we spend all of our time as researchers going round and around and around the same cycle, coming up with ideas, getting those ideas funded, coming up with data, collecting data, analyzing data, writing up papers for submission and publication, and then putting them into the international article submission system. So we'll talk about the stages of the publishing cycle, and we'll also give you some insights from our experience, from all of the work that we've done, from all of the years that I've been working with international journals, Taylor and Francis, Springer Nature, for example. Some examples of how you can communicate with editors and peer reviewers more effectively, and some ways to avoid, some things not to do in your communication with editors and peer reviewers. So we're going to talk about the framework, the stages of the publication cycle, and we're going to talk about some tips and tricks for more effective communication. And it's all about being as effective as possible with your great research. Of course, you wouldn't be in the position that you're in if you weren't doing fantastic research. It deserves to get published in the best journals possible, but a lot of it is about selling your work to editors and managing the peer review process so that your work does have the best chance possible of making it into those international journals. So we're going to give you some insider tricks, some tips, some ways in which you can manage that good old academic publishing cycle. Ideas, funding, data, journal selection, very, 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 very important. Lots of people don't put the energy and time into that journal selection stage. We'll talk